Hello everybody, Blue Dooley, and I've already posted some things from Proline By The Fire. We do need to tear into the CXT, see what I might have messed up in the transmission, trying to do one of the competitions with the truck. But I also thought in this video we'd I'd just give you my thoughts and opinions on the whole event as opposed to just what I said in the other video. I'll link to the other video down in the description or one of them floating boxes somewhere. But right now, we do need to take the cab off the CXT so we can pull the transmission out of it. So one of my LEDs, despite testing it on the bench, didn't work when we got down there. So I think I just need to resolder these two LEDs together, and then that'll be fine. So thanks to the guys at My Trick RC, I have enough lights to do the cab guard, both mirrors, and the two ambers on both sides of the bed. So that's 11 more LEDs in the truck. And those are just marker lights. The mirror lights, I'm either going to wire them into the cab lights so they just run dim all the time, or I might wire the mirror lights in with the turn signals. So the front turn signal, fender turn signal, and then the mirror will blink for turn signals. I haven't decided on which mode I'm going to do yet. So I just picked up a wheel, a tire, because finally got my 3D printer to print part of a wheel. So these are going to be the CXT's new 10 lug wheels. I don't have an exact measurement, but they're just a little bit bigger than a 2.6 or right in that 2.6 range. The ones that are on it are 3.2, but they're also only 8 lug. These are 10. I put a little bit, let's see if you can get in here. I put a little bit of a collar that'll cover up the wheel nut, and then I'll actually make something to print. So that'll cover the wheel nut up completely. It'll look the same front and rear, but that's okay. Those J Concept tires work so good on this truck. Now that my wheels are printing correctly, the other half of that wheel is printing right now. So I can measure tire, rim width, all that stuff. And I'm going to get a hold of the guy at Squid Inserts who does 3D printed inserts for the tires. Weigh the truck, batteries and everything in it. And then I'm going to add a couple of pounds because I just want them to be, I really don't want the tires to flex, essentially. I want the truck to look like it's properly aired up all the time instead of flat. So now that I can get those printed out, they're just PLA plus. I got a spool of PETG and it just will not print that stuff. I've gone through settings, cleaned it up, checked all the settings in the printer. It just does not want to print that particular brand of PETG. So PLA plus for now. I mean, shoot, the fuel tank is just straight PLA, and it's been out in the sun and the heat, and it's been fine. So is it going to be bomb proof for like mobbing along at like 40 mile an hour? No. I don't want this thing doing that fast anyways. So let me get the 2 screws out of the back of the cab. We'll get the cab off, and then we'll get into that transmission. However, the Red Cat 53 hauler shocks with the Integy / springs performed excellently. I really like that combination, so I'm going to put my little spacer collar things on my 3D page so you can get those downloaded if you want to run a softer spring on your 53 hauler. So links to all that down below too. Cab off next. Got the transmission out, and right now it appears to not be in any gear, because the upper shaft is not spinning at all. So we might have actually really hurt something in it. I don't know yet. So let's talk about Proline By The Fire 2025. As I mentioned so many times in the other video, everybody we ran into, talked to, was just so cool. Everybody was super nice. Everybody was pretty chill for the most part. I didn't, at least neither of us encountered anybody like fighting or getting a little obnoxious from too much drinking. So that part, really a little bit surprising, because some of those things, you get enough people around and a little bit of alcohol and you're going to have some arguments. So the fact there were no arguments, or at least fights, was a good thing. Now, as far as the event itself, Horseman's Park is a really, really nice facility. The rocks out there, of course, are primarily sandstone, so there's plenty of traction to be had. The way they get the clubs to do trails, there were 5 or 6 clubs at the event, and they help with everything. Screwdriver. There it is. So yeah, each trail was done by a different club, and as far as age groups go, there were, I think the youngest person I saw driving a truck was probably 4 or 5, and my mom was definitely not the only one who was above 70 in attendance. All right. Okay, so that gear, oh, well, that I had not expected. The upper shaft is bent. Apparently, a second gear, those gears had so much power going to them, it actually bent this upper shaft completely. And you can see it maybe a little better that way. I had really expected that I had stripped this out, but that shaft is now jammed it up again. Yep. So second gear is toast. And yeah, what's happening is the shaft's bent, so when it rotates, it's just jamming up the gears. That was unexpected. Bending a shaft was not on my bingo card. I had absolutely expected to have smoked this gear or the shaft in between here. I thought the pinion or the gear on the center shaft had actually come loose again, and it was just spinning on the shaft. And not. Yeah, that is interesting. Yep, there we go. Just nothing in second gear, and it won't move in the other gears because it just binds up. Huh. Well, that's interesting. Very interesting indeed. So, I have the stock shaft, which isn't hardened. So I can throw that in there. But I don't know how to keep it from doing that again. Unless maybe I can put a bearing on each side of the gear and brace it up against both of these parts. That would probably do that. I don't know if a 3D printed part would have the strength or not. But I am really surprised that I did not strip gears. I had really expected to strip gears, not bend the shaft. Not on my bingo card. Yes. Wow, there is so much slop in that pinion too. All right, that's actually what I thought had happened, is I thought the 3D print that's holding the bearing failed, and this had gotten bound up enough and just tore either the pinion or this gear up, just completely annihilated it. So I guess I'll get to work on that off camera, and we'll go over some photos and stuff from the event and talk about the event. For the positives of the event, I mean, it's accessible no matter what kind of rig you have, what kind of physical fitness you're in, or your age. We saw kids as little as 4 and 5 to people up as old and older than my mom, so 70s plus. There really is quite a bit to do, and like all the open trails, yeah, some of the lines are hard, some of them are easy. In most cases, like my HPI Venture is not a super capable rig. I mean, most people probably wouldn't comp it, but to do the trails or this obstacle thing here, really simple build. You know, you could probably do this box stock if you have patience and a pretty decent driver. Same with most of the trails. You don't really need like an expensive rig to enjoy the event. You can take an RTR right out of the box, bring some batteries, and have a good time. If you have expensive line killers that walk up things like this super easy, there are some places on those trails and the rocks around the Horseman's Park that will challenge you. Like right here, part of it's easy. You get a little further up there, and you need more of a comp rig than my HPI Venture. So really a wide variety of people, a wide variety of trails and obstacles to challenge yourself with or your friends. Onto some of the negatives. We did hear that some of the events did not start on time, and I think part of that might have been due to, I'm pretty sure they had more people attend than they initially thought. And the person who's been in charge of these larger events, his last day was Friday of the event. So I think there was some miscommunication and a little bit of hang-ups here and there, just due to the number of people. All of the staff at the event running the events, in charge of like the little comps and stuff around the little obstacle course, the dead pole lift that I broke the CXT on, those are all volunteers. So they're not going to know everything, but generally if Mom or I asked them a question, if they did not know the answer, they could always point us to someone who would know more. Like, hey, I don't know, but go ask so-and-so. Now, back to too many people. They ran out of raffle tickets Saturday, and that upset a lot of people because they weren't short like 10 or 20 people. They were short 100, 200 people, maybe even more. That really kind of irked a lot of people, and I understand that. You paid to get in, and you're kind of supposed to get a raffle ticket Saturday just for attending. And if they don't have enough, yeah, that's not a good thing. Now, the two other real sore spots I have are not so much with the event, but with people. You'll notice some pop cans laying around. So people did leave trash on the trail. I picked up a bunch of AA batteries from like a transmitter. That kind of stuff isn't cool. That kind of behavior is just absolute shit. There's no excuse for you not crushing the can and sticking it in your back pocket or just carrying it with you to throw it away. Zero excuse for that kind of shit. And I have heard now on 2 separate live streams that several people had a vehicle stolen, like their RC truck stolen. That is also unexcusable. Between that and the litter, that kind of behavior is what gets events shut down, or the venue not allowing you to have the event there anymore. Especially the trash. It's inexcusable. Always pack out your garbage at these events, because the people who own the venues, if they have to do too much cleanup after the event's done, they're not going to let us come back. I've seen it happen a lot to a lot of events that I even have never been able to go to. That's just the way those people are. You have to be on good behavior. Plus, negative PR of people having their trucks stolen is going to really hurt the event long term too. If it happens enough, people are going to quit going, and the event's going to just not happen because people won't go. That kind of stuff, it just isn't cool, no matter what the hobby is or what you're doing. It's unexcusable, just like the trash. The other little thing I'd like to add is, I know we signed a waiver. All kinds of events have you sign waivers. Boy Scouts made my parents sign a waiver. All of my friends who have kids in sports have to sign waivers. All of my friends who played sports in high school had to sign waivers. Yeah, get it. You don't want sued. You still should have a first aid station, and at an event this size, probably 2 or 3 trained first responders to do first aid. Just because of the rocks, the terrain, insects, snakes, kids running around just trip and fall and scrape their arm, you should have a first aid station. And again, kind of going back to people, as much alcohol as some people drank throughout the entire day, you probably should know how to deal with severe alcohol dehydration in the middle of the desert. But I think a first aid station should be mandatory. I know there's a waiver, but the event's far enough outside city limits, it would take an ambulance a little bit to get there, and just having some staff there would be reassuring to everyone participating in the events, especially the more difficult events like the 5K. That's very rough terrain to be running over, and a severe injury could become even more severe waiting for an ambulance. All of that being said, I still think it's an event worth going to at least once. I'm planning on going again next year. I really had a good time, and now that I've been and kind of know the layout of the event, I guess you could say, how it kind of runs, I'll be a little better prepared next year. I'll start going on the trails earlier in the day just because of the heat, and I'll try a few more of the events, I think. That little obstacle thing with the cable was pretty cool. If I could find somebody to run that with me, I'd certainly give it a go. But yeah, overall, a really positive event, a pretty well ran event too. And that's going to do it for my kind of overview of Proline by the Fire. Hope everyone had a good weekend, and we'll catch you in the next video.